Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man.
Cornbread! Cornbread! Touchdown, Detroit Lions!
Drink it in, man. Drink it in, man.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Detroit Koolaid drinkers, what's going on, everybody? It's your host, Derek Oakley, right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Drink it in, everybody. Drink it in, man. Side of cornbread.
Cornbread!
Gotta make it a double.
Cornbread!
And I'm coming at you again, off-season show, solo show. I got plenty to get into. I want to talk about kind of like these pivotal players, these guys on the Detroit Lions that are, you know, they're like make or break. They're guys that we got hope for that maybe haven't balled yet. They're guys that have played good, but we need them to be better. Young cats, things like that. So I want to get into some of those guys. I've got a quick list, got some takes. I want to talk about the running back plan. I think we've got like 3-4 guys that can do some different things, but how are you going to deploy them? How are you going to use them? How are you going to maximize all these different players? I want to get into that a little bit more. And then on the back half of the show, I want to do kind of the same thing with the wideouts. Like, you know, I got some questions about these wide receivers. I got questions about the group, how you use them, what they can do, what they can't do, things like that. And then I want to finish out with the defense. I feel like we all believe the Detroit Lions have improved their defense. They've added a lot of resources in different areas, but how good will they be? You know, we'll look at last year's rankings. We'll look at maybe what they could do this year and hype you up about this team, because we're like literally less than a month away from rookies and vets being at training camp. And this team has huge expectations across the board, and I know everybody is so excited to get it rolling. So let's not mess around. Let's jump right into it. I'll keep the show pretty tight, I think, on the front and back end for you guys. Appreciate you listening. Share it with a friend. Hit me up on Twitter at Derek Oakley. That's spelled the only way you can spell it, DerekOkrie. Always talking Lions, fantasy football, Michigan Wolverines, sports, everything in between. Try to keep it pretty fun, pretty simple, as well as use plenty of gimmicks from this show, as well as lots of hashtags, trying to get our show out there any way that we can. But let's talk about these pivotal players. So I just made a quick list, and the first guy at the top of that list was Josh Pascal. And you know, when they drafted Josh Pascal, it was kind of like, you know, he wasn't really atop my radar. You know, he's a big 5 technique, defensive end, move him inside. You hear his story about, you know, surviving cancer and just what a great guy he is, hard worker, always a big physical beast. You know, he comes in right away, has an injury. Don't see much from him that first year. You know, it's kind of come around where you see him time, you know, here and there making plays on a quarterback, or he's had some nice hustle plays where he'll chase down a running back or make a play. that you don't think he can make. He's been more durable, more dependable the last year or so, but we just haven't got what we kind of expected out of a high second-round pick in Josh Pascal. But that's not to say that not only he can't do it, but that I don't think he will, because I'm still really high on this guy for so many reasons, and the main ones are what I just hit on. I've become real big in the draft process and in general. Are they big enough? Are they physical? And are they smart? And do they love ball? And are they great human being, good character? I think he has all that. This guy looks the part in the uniform. He will hit you. He's physical. As long as he can stay healthy with that physicality, that's what you're looking for. Tremendous teammate, great guy. Seems to be a smart guy, can play multiple positions, got that versatility that you look for, which is always talked about in the National Football League. So I don't see why this guy can't come into his own here this season. And when I say that, I'm talking about, ideal role. I know you hear a lot about James Houston, and I still can't understand all the love that Davenport is getting. I mean, is it just me, or does Davenport look fat? I mean, Davenport was a beast coming out of the draft. You look at him now, he looks like a defensive tackle, in my opinion. But PFF seems to love him, and people are like, oh, Marcus Davenport is going to be a baller this year. What a great pickup. It's like, he's TBD if you ask me, but we'll see. But I hope he plays well. But to me, that guy opposite of Aiden Hutchinson, you know what I mean? We always talk about Hutch here on the show. You guys know it's time to unleash Hutch. Unleash Hutch. I mean, everyone's like, well, who's he going to play? Like, who's going to get after the quarterback when you hear this music other than 97? I mean, Dan Campbell wants to unleash Hutch, but who else are you going to unleash, Dan Campbell?
Unleash Hutch. I'm ready to unleash Hutch.
Yeah, I know. I just said that. I know you want to unleash Hutch, but who else are you going to unleash? And I think it's time to unleash Josh Pascal. Put him on the other side. Get him out on the edge. Let him do his bull rushes. Let him be physical. Bump him inside on third down. Let him get after the quarterback. I think that's ideal. He's my ideal other edge rush, penetrator, physical beast when it comes to defensive ends on this football team. I think there's other players that give you other things, maybe some spot duty, but Pascal's got to be that guy, and this is a crucial year for him. So I'm excited about him. I still am very positive, but I got to admit, he's been underwhelming to this point, but it's not all about numbers with him either. It's about his play, his impact on the game, his rushes, his hurries, as well as his sacks, TFLs, and just the disruption he causes with the way he plays the game. So I love me some Josh Pascal still. Next guy on my pivotal players is Khalif Raymond Khalif, as he was once called on this show by @Chops in the D. Shout out Choppy Chop. Here's another guy where you hear his teammates and they're just like, Khalif Raymond is the greatest, hardest worker, best player on this team, most dependable. I mean, they just go on and on. But if you ask everybody in the NFL about Khalif Raymond, they'd be like, who? Say what? He's not well known. He hasn't highly produced, but he's one of those Detroit guys, like the sport we shall not speak of, which always gets these no-namers that come up, have a couple good cups of coffee, and then they're, cult heroes and people wearing their jerseys and things like that. So to me, Khalif Raymond is sort of that for the Lions. He gets a lot of pub, a lot of love. He seems to make a lot of nice plays when he gets his opportunities, whether it be in the kick, the punt game, even in the receiving game. He makes some nice plays, but I just don't know that you can. I've even heard him said that he's the number 3 wide receiver heading into this year. I mean, I think those people are kind of writing off my boy DPJ, but I don't know. I'm a little caught on Khalif Raymond, because he's a hard worker, there's no doubt. Great guy, again. Got good speed, real good speed. Very dependable. But when we're talking about wide receivers, it's a little bit different than that whole spiel I just gave with Josh Pascal. Like, when you're a receiver, I need that speed and your dependability to translate into numbers and production and touchdowns. And I feel like he'll pop off for like a 18-yard catch here or there, or a first down here or there, maybe a deep ball or a trick play every, half a season or whatever it may be. But if he really is the 3-4 receiver this year and they feel good about that, what does that mean? Can this guy be, 500-600 yards? Can he score more than, 4 to 6 touchdowns? I mean, we haven't seen that, but the way his teammates, Jared Goff, and people love him on an expanded role, maybe he could do some bigger things. I mean, I'm a little bit torn. So I think that he's a nice depth receiver, but when you look around the league, there's plenty of bigger names at wide receiver 3-4 or even down the depth chart that I think you would see if you compare receiving classes or groups, which we'll get to in the back half of the show, than what the Lions have heading into this year. So, I know there's people out there, but okay, we don't care about names and this. We want hard work. We want good guys. It's like, yes, I get all that. We do want that. But if Khalif Raymond is put into a bigger role, will he shine, or will it be like, oh man, we got Khalif Raymond as our wide receiver 3, like that ain't gonna cut it, again, we'll wait and see on that one, I suppose. The next guy on my list is Emmanuel Mosley. Again, another guy the Lions seem to love. They brought back. He's blown out his both. I'm trying to remember. I think they're both knee injuries on different knees, back-to-back years. He played 2 snaps. The Lions still said, oh, we don't care. We love this guy. We'll pay him again, keep him around, rehab him. Maybe one day he'll get out there and actually play defensive snapper or cover someone. And I like his game. Part of me always wonders, like, after you have multiple injuries, severe injuries, whether it be Achilles, knee, back, head injuries, whatever it is, like, how does that wear on these players? Do these guys actually like sit there and, they don't have the speed, they don't have the explosion, they are gun shy, when they get these major injuries consistently in their career? I mean, I feel like that could be something with Mosley, or maybe he's headstrong enough to be like, hey man, it's just another freak injury, like at rehab, come back, and as long as the turf monster at Ford Field doesn't get me, or something else crazy doesn't happen, there's no reason this guy can't get back to being a nice depth cornerback for this team. But I put him on my pivotal list because let's say he does rehab. Let's say he is coming back early on in the season. He got hurt first couple games, so he's had a full year again. He should be back, in that first quarter of the season, and could hopefully contribute to the team. So I put him on the pivotal because as much as we've added to corners and stuff, how nice would it be to have E-Man as our 4, 5, 6 type player at the DB position, where you can withstand injuries if you have a type of player like that can do some nice things. You can move people around. You can man up when teams try to spread you out, 4 or 5 wide receivers. So I think if he was healthy and if he could play that first quarter of the year and play consistently and play well, that's a nice little pivotal piece added to the team in your DB room, which we already feel is much improved. So that's why he made my list. The next guy is iffy, but he's not iffy, if he's pivotal or not. He's just straight up iffy. Iffy Melifonwu. And, he's pivotal to me because I think my last couple shows I put him as kind of a backup safety because I was moving my boy Brian Branch back to safety. We already got some corners, we got some nickels, we got some slot players. So why not put Brian Branch and Kerbo back there, bump Iffy down into more of a blitzing role, linebacker, physical player, slot player, whatever you want to call him. And that's why he's pivotal to me, because I feel like if he can accept that type of role, if he can do what he did as the back half of last year, what a dynamic chess piece you have. Or is he going to become the guy where he's pivotal in the wrong way, in a bad way, because for the first 2.5 years, We didn't hear a damn thing from Iffy. I mean, it was iffy if he was even on the team, literally. So he showed out the last 4 to 6 games, but that's a small sample size. So that's why he makes my pivotal list. If he's good, tremendous. If he goes back to being just a depth player you never see out there, just holding Gatorade cups, like pivotal in a bad way. He could really hurt this team's depth, both at safety, which are not very deep at anyway, and at other positions that they would be counting on this guy for. Next pivotal player for me is Jack Campbell, a.k.a. Reward. Jack Campbell's getting a ton of hype this year. You've heard me bloviate about my love for Jack Campbell's character, his no-nonsense football mentality, Iowa cornbread, corn-fed, all I know is ball type of guy. I mean, I love all that about him. I love the fact it's still crazy that he's like 6'5", 230-some, and can run the way he does and hit and do all the things he does. He seemed to flash when he was out there, but I can't give you like a top 5, top 10 Jack Campbell plays that impacted ball games. I remember a couple nice pass, coverage plays that he made, to be honest, too. But, they had him on the edge rushing, and they had him in and out of the games. This year, he's really penciled in to be like, man, Jack Campbell is going to be they just have him as the stud mid linebacker, maybe even with the green dot. Like, he's going to do this, going to do that. And then, to me, it's still like, let's see if the guy makes that type of jump. He says everything right. He looks the part. They invested in him in the first round. He's got size, physicality, wants to, but will he put it all together where he's just that beast of a middle linebacker and an absolute impact player week in, week out on that defense? He hasn't done that to this point. He did some nice things in his rookie year, but in year 2, 3, 4, I think is where you'll really see, is he become an absolute legend in this town, or is he a guy that has everything it takes, but can't process, can't put it together, and can't elevate his game to be that dependable, make the calls, middle linebacker that sees everything, knows how to cover, knows when to blitz, knows how to take on blocks, all those things you need from Jack Campbell. So I think, in a pivotal sense, he's there too, because, again, if he is that guy, what a huge uptick for this defense to have a guy at that size, speed, and ability that's just out there almost every play, just willing to run through a wall for his head coach and his football team. That would be tremendous. The last guy I put on my list is James Houston. To me, James Houston's a guy that, we do the whole gimmick. Houston, we have a problem, or other teams have a problem with Houston is more the way we like to put it. Tremendous rookie year, really got after the quarterback. Didn't see him basically at all last season. People still will call up radio shows and be like, James Houston is going to be the greatest thing ever. Wait till he gets back. It's just like, James Houston has nice speed, bend, good guy, whatever it may be, but you can't, play like sparringly rookie year and have these crazy numbers and then miss a full season and then have me put you in the Hall of Fame in year 3. He's got to come back, be a little bit more physical, be a little bit of a player where you can play him more, be more accountable on rush downs and pass downs. Of course, obviously he's more of a pass rush specialist. I get it. But if you're going to do that, I need you just, killing the quarterback more so than not, almost on every play. And to me, he's still kind of a spot player, a guy that has splashy plays and exciting numbers at times, but other times you're like, did James Houston play today? Like, every time I saw him in the game, he's just getting washed out by the offensive tackle or just getting dominated physically. So I think that, if James Houston come back and find a great role on this team, and when he does get in the game, uses that bend, comes around the edge, uses that okey doke, Euro step, whatever he does to get after the quarterback, great. But again, this is a guy I think people have a lot, maybe too high expectations for, coming off of severe injury, not playing at all last season, and then being like, oh, he's just going to come in, he's going to be the other guy on the side of Hutch, look out, 10, what are people saying? Probably 10, 12. They got these crazy sack numbers. It's like, James Houston gives you like 6 sacks, you should be happy, And in my opinion. So, yes, could he do more than that? Sure. I mean, he could be an 8-12 guy, and if he's put in the right spots. But some of these numbers, I know people do the jokes about when we start going through wide receivers, people are like, oh, Amon-Ra, 1,500, J-Mo, 1,200, DPJ is going to do a 600 to 800, and next thing you know, like, it adds up to like 5,000-6,000 passing yards, and Gibbs is going to do this and that. It's like the numbers just don't add up. And I feel like the same. I've heard people giving Hutch like 15 to 20 sacks, MVP, and it's like, hold on now. Like, we love the player, but he hasn't even really come close to that. He's got, 12, 15 at most. It's like, you're just going to give him an extra 5 to 8 this year? I mean, that would be crazy production and increase in what he does. So, we will see. Those are my pivotal players. I'm going to go through this next thing pretty quick because, again, I want to keep this show timely. But the running back plan. I mean, you guys hear us joke on the show. Demo. Or as he's called on the show, D-Money. I prefer Demo, of course. But Demo for another faux show. Let's go. That's my guy. He's really played well. Did I think he was going to come here? No. Did I understand why they had him and Swift? And then we took a guy who we now know is a multi-dimensional, positionless. Wait for it. Elite weapon. In Jahmyr Gibbs, did I understand why we did all that at running back when we had other needs and when I think that position value is important in the NFL draft? No, but ever since Demo got here, man, he's no nonsense. He picks up the hard yards. He scores touchdowns. He finds ways to break off crazy runs like he did against the LA Chargers and score big-time plays when he has the opportunity, when J-Mo's flying 50 yards down the field to give him blocks. So, I love what Demo does. To me, he's an early down player. He's a split player when it comes to your running snaps. He's productive. You can also throw him the football, which is nice. But you've heard me say the last couple of weeks, like, I want to see an uptick for Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing game. I want to see dynamic plays from Jahmyr Gibbs in the passing and the running game. I want to see increased opportunities for Jahmyr Gibbs. I want to see Gibby get Gibby with it. And you can only do that if you limit a little bit about what Demo does this year. But Demo's going to want to get his. He's going to want to be on the field. He's got a lot of pride. He got paid. He's a big part of this team. So I don't see him fading off into the sunset. I don't see him being like a bit player. But Demo, the hard yards, the up the middle plays, the first down plays, the probably be more of the 10-yard and in type player. But Gibby's got to be your space player. He's got to be used enough to where he can really shine rather than be used too little where it's like all the talent in the world, but he didn't get the football enough and you don't use him in space, and then he ends up with 40 yards, no touchdowns, 2 catches for 18. That's not going to cut it, this year. That was fine when he was first 8 games of his rookie year, but not now. So that's how I use the top 2 guys. To me, I'm going to go with Vaki as my 3. I really am. I think the Lions love him. I think that he's got a great head on his shoulders. He's young. Why not get him a lot of carries and, not a lot of carries, but you know what I mean? Give him those RB3 carries and maybe some goal line looks and some trick plays. He, to me, is a better investment at this point than, come on, Craig. If Craig can make the RB4, great. If he can't, send him off when cut downs come, and I'm sure he'll pick up a nice depth role with another team. And we love Craig Reynolds for who he is and what he's done, but that's kind of where I'm at with him. And then to me, if you're going to go with like an RB5, I struggle because this guy doesn't really play special teams, and obviously hadn't done anything the first 2 to 3 years here. I think he's been here 3 years now. Jermar Jefferson. I love this guy in the draft process. He has a lot of ability. He seemed to be a little immature, seemed to not do all the dirty work that you need him to do, but he's really seemed to be being more humble the last couple of years, being trained up, and they're keeping him around for a reason. So I'd like to see him in that, 5 role, but like I say, he would have to play special teams, and if they still feel he can't do that and they can't get him any plays offensively, which is what he does best, run the football, catch the football, then you'll probably have to move on from that player. But if it was me, and if knowing all the stuff we don't know about what they do on and off the field, I'd love to see Jermar Jefferson get a little bit more of an opportunity, be a depth player, and actually be of a rostered, special practice squad type guy, whatever it may be, if we're talking about RB5. So, everybody, that's what I got for this first segment. Let's go ahead and get our great sponsors in here. Again, really helps out when you guys hit that, very easy to hit that repost, retweet button, share the show, reply when I put out the tweet just saying, hey, checked it out, really like the show, hey, drink it in, double-sided cornbread, whatever you do, that really helps. I know a lot of you guys just listen and see the tweets and see the this and that, and that's all fine and well. I appreciate that, and I do that with a ton of my podcasts, but I do try to share a lot of people's stuff and repost because that just helps out whoever it may be, whoever the content creator is, or just another way to get the word out about a show, a product, a tweet you like, anything that's out there on the old social media X machine platform. So if you can just do that for me, be a little bit more proactive with the repost, reply, share type situation, whether it be on Facebook too or other platforms, just to share it out. That really helps out, get the word out. And again, you guys are just loving the show. It keeps growing. Every show, the numbers are bigger, millions and millions. I mean, it's just incredible, the people that listen to the show and the type of impact and just fun we have with it. But the listenership is awesome. So everybody, check out our great sponsors. That really helps out too when you listen to those, or at least go check them out from time to time. And I'll come back and talk some more Detroit. It's right after the break. Everybody, be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
All right, everybody. This goes out to my fantasy football fans out there. Now, you probably heard about Reality Sports Online, the most powerful fantasy sports platform where owners can build and manage their fantasy team like a real NFL general manager. But the question is, have you tried it? I mean, we're talking free agency, multi-year contracts, rookie drafts, multi-team trades. You can put franchise tags on guys. It's as close as you're going to get to being an NFL GM. But do you think it sounds complicated? It's not. I'm here to tell you it's the best thing about Reality Sports Online is it's just more fun than your normal fantasy league, but it doesn't take barely any more time. After all this, are you still not sure? I mean, come on now. You can test your general manager skills by going over to Reality Sports Online, call it RSO. Please go check out realitysportsonline.com right now. Kool-Aid drinkers, we're back. Thank you so much for those sponsors, sharing the show, putting it out on Twitter machine. Always just a positive feedback. Like I said, I know a lot of people always get negativity, I guess, on social media, but I always just get a lot of great positive stuff from you guys, whether it be about this show, the content, the Lions, fantasy football, sports in general, life, just always good stuff. So appreciate everybody. Could spend the next 20 shouting out to everybody, but just want to get back into this Lions content, keep this show tight for you guys. So let's jump right into my wide receiver questions. Again, some of this might be stuff that kind of relates back to other things I've said, but I just want to break it down. And it hit me the other day that if you look back at Brad Holmes' history, and most GMs do this, everybody loves their team, everybody loves their plan. Even when you know that you're taking a little bit more of a risk, or maybe you don't have the top guys you'd like to have, you always make it sound and feel like we're all set and we're good to go. And I feel like he's done that a couple times with whether it be corners or that first year he had like no offensive players to help his quarterback, and he was just trying to get by, and no defense. Remember the one year we just had like nobody on defense. Oh, we'll be okay. We got AG, we got this whatever, and we were just Swiss cheese. So I think like between the defense, some of the offensive skill players, and then even last year he tried to pour into the corners, and we still ran out Sutton, Jury, Juurry, Jury Jacobs, and others from the bowling alley, and it didn't work. So we know that he kills it in the draft. He does a lot of great things when it comes to roster building, but he also he's missed a few times. When it comes to saying, or even last year in the playoff push, everyone was like, get a pass rusher, get another defensive help, do this, do that. He didn't do anything. He just added DPJ, and a defensive piece could have probably helped us down the stretch there. So I feel like the wide receiver room is that spot this year where he's just like, no, we're good. We paid St. Brown $30 million. Hey, JMO's a man on a mission per Dan Campbell. Between DPJ and Raymond Cleef Raymond will be okay. And then after that, it's a bunch of developmental guys like Antoine Green and Isaiah Williams and whoever else is even in that depth chart. So I'm not saying like losing Josh Reynolds is the end of the world, but I do feel that sometimes when you lose guys and you do nothing to help the position, and you just think, oh, this guy's going to take a big leap, that guy's a good player, this role player is going to do exponentially more than he did, you can get caught up. So I'm a little bit worried, to be honest. You look around the league, there's a lot of teams that have one big-time receiver, a big-time WR2, a really nice rookie or second-year player as WR3, and then some depth behind that, and the Lions are basically running out one player. I know we all love hashtag JMOFast, but until he shows, when it comes to numbers too, don't come at me mid-season if JMO has like a few plays here or there, but the numbers are dismal again. I'm not going to be happy. So I need this guy to be productive from a receptions perspective, yak, touchdowns, deep plays, consistently part of the offensive playbook. Don't come mid-season. He's got 20 catches, four for touchdowns, and a whole bunch of nothing, in between there. I will be upset. So, can he be a top-end WR2? Could he take an exponential leap and be everything that everybody thought he was coming out of Alabama in the draft? Yes, he can be, and if he does that, then you're like, all right, we got a bona fide electric number 2 in Jameson Williams, and then your 3 is a little bit less consequential, right? Hey, if DPJ is serviceable or better, cool. If Cleef Raymond, ends up taking a nice leap and ends up being a more productive guy than his name cachet gives him across the league, great. But it's all dependent on JMO. What can he do? How consistent can he be? What's his ceiling? How much do you use him? And it's kind of up to the kid, too, to be like, you have electric speed, you're fun, you seem like you love ball, but you've made 20 catches over 3 years. You've been very hit or miss. You drop the ball too much, and you just haven't seen it. We haven't seen the 8-yard curl turn into a 25-yard nice play downfield. It's usually been deep balls, gadgets, touchdowns, or nothing, or reverse run plays, or nothing in between. So, can he be WR2? Will he be WR2? Have I invested in him in fantasy football in a couple leagues? Yes to all those. But here goes the gimmick tagline again. TBD if you ask me, but we'll see. I damn sure hope he plays well. Can ARSB, or Amon Ra, as he's known on this show, can he deal with doubles all season long, all the attention, teams just being like, hey, we take out Saint and we limit Gibbs, how are they going to be explosive? How are they going to beat us? And we already know that Saint's already seen attention. He's not afraid of it. he's smart enough, as well as Ben Genius is smart enough to find ways around it, but he's going to be the circled player on offense, based on his contract, his name, cachet, and what he's done the past couple of years. So, can he deal with that? I've always respected the receivers that come in and they know you're going to double them. They know you're going to put their best corner on them. They know that you're going to try to take them out of the game, and it doesn't matter. They're still going to end up with 7 for 80 to 120 and 1 or 2 touchdowns, on a pretty consistent basis. So, can Saint do that with the extra attention? We will see. I talked about Raymond earlier. How good can he be? Can take a role. Okay, you love him. He's great in the community. He's a great hard worker, but can he give you 500 plus? Can he give you consistent plays week in, week out? Or is it like, hey, Khalif Raymond had a great game. Look at his stat line. 2 catches, 22 yards, a punt return for 18, and you act like he just, absolutely balled out. That's not balling out in the NFL when you need receiver production. DPJ is my guy. I could see DPJ taking a nice leap, being a nice surprise for this football team. He's got size, speed, smart, ability, just wants opportunities. I could see him being Josh Reynolds' replacement. I really could. I could see him being dependable, a guy that more production than you'd expect, similar production to what Reynolds gave you, and just being a nice fill-in at a lower cost and a younger player and a bigger body overall. I could see all that. I really could. So that's kind of how I see the receivers breaking down. Again, Isaiah Williams has some nice things to his game. The undrafted kid out of, where is he out of? Illinois, I believe. I'd love to see him do some things or be on the practice squad and maybe develop a bit too. He's a pretty explosive player, former quarterback. And then I'm not writing off Antoine Green either, but I'm also not just putting him in as a solid 3-4 type receiver. He's a 4-5 type guy now with the ability to move his way up the depth chart. He's big. He had some nice plays in college at North Carolina. But can he do it at this level? And I think Brad Holmes always thinks that, hey, I drafted this kid. We give him a year of seasoning. He's practicing better. He's doing this. He's doing that. Okay, that's great. Can he show up on Sundays, Saturdays, Thursdays, Mondays, whenever else they're playing NFL ball these days? We'll see. I don't think you can just assume so. Brad Holmes was even very defiant, being like, DPJ is a good football player. Oh, okay, I think so too, but his last 2 to 3 years have not been so. He hasn't done it. He hasn't shown it. He hasn't been very productive, very impactful. So we can't just say he's a good football player when the last couple of years don't show it and then expect this year to just blow up on the scene. That's a far reach, especially a far reach when you're sitting there as a general manager going, hey, we got 30, 40 million, but we're good. We're good at receiver. We're good at rush player. We're good on defense. We're good on, other skill guys. I think Brad Holmes needs to be a little more worried about this receiver room, because I think he sometimes takes the approach of he just assumes and has so much confidence that Saint's going to be incredible. J-Mo's going to be the guy he drafted and thinks is out of this world. DPJ is going to take a big leap and be great. Khalif Raymond's a great depth player. We love his character. No worries about him. We're set. And I'm looking at it right now. I'm going, you're not set. But you could be dynamic with Saint, J-Mo, and a motivated / useful, freaky athlete like DPJ. You could get by with those 3 if they're balling. But I would like to add some depth. I'd like to add a vet. Am I against a guy like Mike Thomas coming in? No, I'm not, because you could call him like the slant king and, oh, he's always injured, he's this or that. He's a DAWG is what he is, and he's been productive. He's been not productive the last 2 to 3 years. But can he come here and carve out a role of slants, comebacks, first downs, reception, numbers that you don't have otherwise, and be a feisty, nasty, physical wide receiver with some size on this football team for one season? Yeah, I think Mike Thomas could do that for you if Dan Campbell signed off on that, and if he was physically ready and they wanted to go that route, especially if he's going to take a very low contract. So I'd be looking to add to this receiver room. Let's talk about this defense real quick, because they were horrible some years ago, bottom of the league. They crept up to bottom third, middle of the league here recently. I'm looking at their numbers. I think this is from last year. I mean, points per game, 25th. Yards per game, 23rd. Points per play, 28th. Touchdowns per game, 24th. 30th in red zone. The only number that's decent here is third down conversion percentage, 13th. I mean, that's nice. They got off the field a little bit more. I feel like they had a few more turnovers than we had expected, which were like next to nothing with Matt Pat, which that's a name we shall not speak of, but with that whole defense and even the first couple years of this regime, we could not turn the football over. I feel like we've done that better the last year or so. Can that improve as well? Because I look at this defense and I'm like, all right, great. You went from middle and absolutely terrible. Just ask my boy Charles. He'll tell you.
That's terrible.
That's what our defense was, Charles, the last couple of years, especially 2 years ago.
That's terrible.
I agree, Charles. You're correct.
That's terrible.
And it will be terrible if they do it again. But last year, they weren't terrible. They were decent. They were okay. They were better. And I think we all gave Cam Sutton more credit than he deserved. Not a horrible player. Again, a lot of this craziness that went down with him is either proven to maybe not be true, but we saw he could not cover a coffee table last year. He did not look like an NFL corner, whether it be starter, CB2, or even a guy that you could put on the football field, yet he was guarding Justin Jefferson and company, which did not work out well for our defense. But between him and Jury, you weren't good. You had injuries as well, and that's why you were grabbing people from the local oil mechanics to try to play corner for you or whatever. And it's like, now you've really invested. You have ball players. You have young cats. Again, I'm not going to go on a huge rant here, but I'm here to tell you, Terrion Arnold is going to be special from day one. He's going to pop off the screen. He's going to be fun to watch. He's going to be impactful. This may be one of my favorite draft picks over the last 3 or 4 years because I think he fits so many things with this team. His personality is incredible. His swag is great. And his fit, his need, everything is so perfect for this player. So I'm not going to say, oh, ease Terrion Arnold in. Give him some time. He'll be okay. I expect him to come in right away and be CB2 and be good. We'll see about Carlton Davis, how good he is. We'll see about Amik. Enos, Rakestraw is probably going to need some time. But obviously they've invested big there. So, what will the impact be from those corners? Will you see it game in, game out? Or will they just be better than what they were? Which was, it's not very hard to be better than this.
That's terrible.
When you're terrible, it's not hard to be much better. You got to be good to great is what we're looking for when it comes to covering people. Do they have enough pass rush? That's the big question. People want to say, Hutch needs help. You need this, you need that. I think if my boy Pascal and the guy that I challenged on this pod, James Houston, bring what they can bring, I think that between those guys, Hutch, and our interior players, we do have enough up front. Is it always fun just to continue adding pass rushers until you have just more than you need? Yeah, that's a nice strategy, and I'd expect them to do that if their team continues to be filled out the way it is. Yeah, just start adding pass rushers, defenders, nasty football players until you can get over the hump on that side of the ball. But right now, yes, I do think they have enough when it comes to pass rush. The two things that you can't predict, but that are a predictor of success, turnovers and health. Will they turn the ball over at a high level? That's always just a little bit of luck involved, a wait-and-see type approach. But, yeah, I would expect them to probably be able to turn the ball over better with BB having a whole year. Terrion Arnold out there. Kerbo's always getting his hands on footballs. Better linebacking core, better pass rush, better interior pressure from DJ, that's my DJ, and Aline the Dream, a.k.a. Honey Bunny, a.k.a. Twinkle Toes, a.k.a. Plump, a.k.a. doing his thing. So, yeah, I need them to turn the ball over. Staying healthy is a big thing. I feel like one of the reasons we were so good last year was because of our talent, but it was also one of the first healthier years I feel like the Lions have had. None of their big blue chip guys that I was really counting on missed a significant time. And I'm talking about the Hutches, the ARSBs, Jared Goff, Gibby, Mo, just going down the line of guys. I feel like it was a game here or there, but it was no like, hey, it's week 4 and this guy's now done for the year. And that makes a big difference, Sometimes I do feel like the NFL is an attrition game where it's just like, who stayed the healthiest, who had the injuries at the wrong time, and who had a couple injuries to their top players that basically just derailed their whole season. So that's going to be huge for the defense too. Like just staying healthy at the right spots at the right time, getting turnovers, being better at covering people, getting after the quarterback and pushing the pocket, and again, continuing to be a decent team on the run defense. I feel like they've tried to load up on the run defense, which is great, but you can't be tremendous at run defense and then just get roasted, toasted, and extra crispy all over the field when it comes to passing, because that's what's happened the last couple of years. Like, oh great, you stopped our run, okay, we'll just throw it 40 times and put up 400 yards and you can't cover anything and we'll try to beat you that way. So I need that to stop ASAP. My opinion was like, I can't have you 32nd to whatever it was, like 25th. I don't even like it 25th to like 15th. Okay, when you're like 15th to 12, now we're getting somewhere. But can this team be a top 10 type defense? That's got a big question mark on it for me, because when I look around the league, I'm looking at teams like the Baltimore Ravens. Always have it. Not only is stud defense, but players everywhere, depth everywhere. The teams that go deep in the playoffs, San Francisco. Kansas City's always top when it comes to defensive rankings, turnovers, all that type of stuff. So it's like, can the Detroit Lions be like top 10 defense in 2024? That's the hope. I don't know if 15-18 is going to get it done. I know you can say, oh, we're going to outscore people, or, oh, no worries, we could do this, do that. Like, I don't know that a 15-18 defense is going to win you the type of games you want to win, especially when it comes to the playoffs. But a top 10 defense damn sure will, because I already know you can score points. I already know that we can get after people in spurts. But if you give me a top 10 type defense for the majority of the season, yeah, you're going to win 12 to 14 ball games. You're going to win the division. You're going to have home playoff games throughout. And that is the path to get to the Super Bowl. So, everybody, that's what I got this week. Again, I'm debating if I'm going to take a week or two off. I know it's kind of the dead season in the NFL. I could use a little bit of a break, but I love talking ball. I'm trying to jump on here. I'm juggling my schedule around, doing some traveling, doing some different things, and staying crazy busy. So we'll see what happens, but the plan is to keep this thing rolling, keep talking ball, and before you know it, training camp, preseason, regular season, playoffs, and yes, the Detroit Lions will be in the Super Bowl in 2024 and will take home the trophy. That's what I got. I'll catch you next time right here on the Detroit Koolaid Cast. Okay, everybody, I'm out.
Pack the bag, start the plane. This game is over. It is over. What a comeback by the Lions.
Drink it in, man.